us now as someone who was protesting outside the Ferguson Police Department when those two officers were shot last night. Ivory Nett is with us. Ivory, there's a couple of, I've talked to a lot of people on the ground, including people that were there last night. And there's two different stories that have emerged. One is that the shot came from behind the crowd, which brings up the issue of whether or not a high-powered rifle with a scope was used. And others say, well, no, maybe it came from the crowd. What can you tell us?
Well, I was basically right there at the crowd, so I can definitely say it did not come from the crowd. But this is what you have here. There's a situation that happened back in August when Mike Brown was killed, and that was the first action that happened. Then you have a reaction what happened, which was last night when the police officers got shot. I'm not saying it was right.
Ivory, no, you should be saying it's wrong, because you know we now have the Department of Justice under Eric Holder. We now have the grand jury. We have eyewitnesses, many who happen to be black. They testified to the fact that, and the evidence showed, and the forensics showed, we have Mike Brown robbing a store, intimidating a clerk. We know he fought for a cop's gun. We know he charged at a police officer. So you're acting as though this is, well, to be expected after Mike Brown acted the way he acted. I think the story here is you shouldn't act that way and people shouldn't be shooting cops. I don't hear you saying that. Why not?
The thing is, you have no evidence that he charged anybody in the store.
Yeah, we do. We have witnesses that testify.
Listen.
You listen.
Okay. There are also witnesses that testified Mike Brown had his hands up. So you look at the facts first. And the fact remains is there was an altercation on Canfield. The altercation happened between Darren Wilson and Mike Brown. Mike Brown, with the forensics showed, there were bullets with the hands. I don't know how. I'm not a scientist, but the facts remain. And But with the cops getting shot last night, that was not right. But that was not right for Mike Brown to be dead. 4 hours left, 4 hours on the ground.
But
so
you know
there's an action
Ivory,
and there's a reaction.
Let me ask you this. Let me read to you. I'm sure you didn't read the 87-page report from Eric Holder's Justice Department, did you?
I haven't, but enlighten.
You haven't. Let me help you, and I'm going to read some of it for you and some of it for our audience, because this is what Eric Holder's Justice Department found out. Witness accounts suggesting that Brown was standing still with his hands raised in an unambiguous signal of surrender when Wilson shot Brown are inconsistent with the physical evidence, are otherwise not credible because of the internal inconsistencies, or are not credible because of inconsistencies with other credible evidence. In contrast, Officer Wilson's account of Brown's actions, if true, would establish that the shootings were not objectively unreasonable under the relevant constitutional standards governing an officer's use of deadly force. Multiple credible witnesses corroborate virtually every material aspect of Wilson's account and are consistent with the physical evidence. Let me translate that for you. So Eric Holder's Justice Department, after investigating it all these months, said the witnesses corroborated and the forensics corroborated and the evidence corroborated the officer's story, and you still believe otherwise. Why don't you believe Eric Holder's Justice Department?
Sir, it sounds like your head is a one-way street, so I'm going to take you to Canfield. I'm going to take you to the St. Louis community, how we feel about this. So
you don't care what the facts are. You don't care what the evidence says.
No. The fact remains is Mike Brown was laid down on that ground for 4 hours.
You keep repeating yourself, but the evidence is that the witnesses said
because that was a fact. That was a fact. That was a fact, sir. So you have to listen to the fact.
All right, here's a fact. Did he rob a store? Did Michael Brown rob a store, sir? He did. Did he intimidate a clerk? He did. Did he fight a cop for his gun? He did. Did he charge an officer? According to the Justice Department, he did.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because of witnesses and forensic evidence presented in the case that you obviously didn't read. And now two cops are shot, and you're trying to compare this.
We're on live TV right now, so present that to the world. Can you do that? Can you present that to the world?
You need to educate yourself and maybe read the evidence in the case. Read the grand jury testimony, which you haven't read, and read the Department of Justice report.
Put the facts on television.
Let me go